Another day in the Trump administration and another day of hysterics from our friends on cable news. We start with MSNBC Hee-Haw's Chuck Todd.
If it feels like the president is playing with fire, that's frankly because he may be. If it feels like the president is careening from crisis to crisis and creating policy by tweet, that's because he is. And if it feels like the president is acting even more erratic than usual, it's because he is. If it feels like all of this is because the president is a bit rattled, well, more than a bit, by the possibility of a recession, that's because he is.
Wow. Not to be outdone, the most trusted name in news described a recent 24-hour period in the Trump administration as erratic. 24 hours under President Trump. Called himself the chosen one. Praised conspiracy theorists who dubbed him King of Israel. Labeled Danish Prime Minister's comments nasty. Flip-flopped on new tax cuts. Repeatedly blamed Obama to defend his administration. Let's examine them one at a time, shall we? Number one, called himself the chosen one. Okay. How about a little, I don't know, context?
Somebody said it's Trump's trade war. This isn't my trade war. This is a trade war that should have taken place a long time ago by a lot of other presidents. Over the last 5 or 6 years, China's made $500 billion. $500 billion. Ripped it out of the United States. And not only that, if you take a look, intellectual property theft, add that to it, and add a lot of other things to it. So somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it. So I'm taking on China. I'm taking on China on trade. And you know what? We're winning. I was put here by people to do a great job.
Goodness, the man must be unhinged.
Apparently he needs a safe space. But on top of that, in the same 24-hour period, he basically called himself the second coming of God and the King of Israel. The man is deeply mentally unstable. The cabinet should convene immediately to discuss the 25th Amendment. And I'm not kidding.
My, oh my, what a narcissist.
This is happening now. And Mika, I ask, again, playing this game that we used to play when Barack Obama was president, we would say, can you imagine if a Republican had done that, right? We always did that. Now we've reversed it because the Republicans in the White House. What if Barack Obama was this obsequious on every issue involving Russia? And what if Barack Obama came out and declared himself yesterday the King of Israel?
Oh, my Lord.
The second coming of God.
The chosen.
And the chosen one. So just think about that for a second. It would be extraordinary.
And of course, you know who was a paragon of humility, wasn't he?
It's different not because of me. It's different because of you. Change will not come if we wait for some other person or if we wait for some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for.
We are the ones we've been waiting for. Try that excuse on your boss the next time you're late to work. Hey boss, I'm not late. I was just waiting for me. Let's stipulate something, okay? In order to run for president, you have to have one massive ego. Think about it. Of the 7 billion people in the world, you're saying to yourself, I ought to be the most powerful person. I'm the most qualified for that job. I'm going to run for it. By definition, you have to have a gargantuan ego, okay? So knock it off. Of course, Trump has a big ego. You don't think Obama did? Now, about the substance of the China policy, even CNN's John King says Trump is right. And CNN's John King is no Trump lover.
And look, the president is absolutely right when he says that China has been cheating for 25 years and that Bill Clinton didn't do enough about it, George W. Bush didn't do enough about it, Barack Obama didn't do enough about it, or didn't want to pick the fights for other reasons, thought there were reasons the U.S. economy is benefiting so much, we won't pick these fights. Start the conversations, not finish the conversations. The president is absolutely right.
On to number two, praise conspiracy theorist who dubbed him King of Israel. Trump is not the conspiracy theorist. It's the guy whose tweet he retweeted that's the conspiracy theorist. But you want to talk about conspiracies? Let's talk about conspiracies. Democrats believe not just that the Russians interfered with the election in 2016. Democrats believe, a majority of them, that the Russians change vote tallies. No evidence, but they believe that. What about the Iraq War? Most Democrats believe that George W. Bush either lied us into the war or that there's a strong possibility that there is. Never mind the Rob Silverman Commission that said, nope, the intel was wrong, but nobody lied. Yet the Democrats still believe that. How about this one? President Barack Obama once said there are more blacks behind bars than there are blacks in colleges and universities. And the Washington Post fact-checked it. Look at this. 4 Pinocchios. That's as bad as you can get. And this graph clearly shows there are at least twice as many blacks in colleges and universities than are behind bars. And if we focus on college-age black men, Obama's claim becomes even more absurd. There are about 5 times as many black men in colleges and universities, college age, than behind bars. According to the same census data, 530,000 of these African American males, or 28%, were enrolled in colleges and universities in 2005. That is 5 times the number of young black men in federal and state prisons and 2.5 times the total number incarcerated. If you expanded the age group to include African American males up to 30 or 35, the college attendees would still outnumber the prisoners. End of quote. And get this, a Howard University professor said that number that Obama gave is the most frequently cited statistic about young black men. And it's dead wrong. And the Howard professor said this: we will not sufficiently support black male college students nor college-bound students if we simply keep perpetuating the myth that juxtaposes their needs with those of black males in the criminal justice system. Now, let's move on to number 3. Labeled Danish Prime Minister's comments nasty comes after she called the idea of selling Greenland to U.S. absurd. Goodness gracious, how dare Trump treat an ally like that? Please. How did Obama treat one of our closest allies and our closest allies in the Middle East, Israel? Their relationship was practically toxic.
Analysts say President Obama and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu despise each other.
There's a fundamental sense of mistrust.
Former State Department insider Aaron David Miller calls the relationship the most dysfunctional ever.
And reportedly a senior member of the Obama administration called Bibi Netanyahu chicken bleep, except he didn't say bleep. But the Times of Israel thinks they know who this senior Obama official was. Obama. There is little doubt the derision has become personal. One American Jewish leader has asserted that it was President Obama himself who gave the interview to The Atlantic in which an unnamed official mocked Netanyahu as chicken. Number 4. Flip-flopped on new taxes. Oh my goodness, a politician changing his mind? Say it ain't so. Come on. You never heard of a trial balloon? That's when a politician throws an idea up there and tries to see what the public response is going to be. Some people say it's like raising up the flag and let's see who salutes. Please. Talk about flip-flops. Senator Obama campaigned against a health care mandate. Do you remember that? Bet you don't.
If a mandate was the solution, we could try that to solve homelessness by mandating everybody buy a house.
But then, after he gets elected, he does a 180 on the mandate and starts supporting it. That was a big switch. And about this switch, the left-wing Atlantic magazine said this: either Obama was suddenly persuaded that such a sweeping use of government power was necessary, or he had believed it all along and only took the other side because it would position him better politically. Either way, the American people voted for a candidate who strongly opposed an individual mandate, but got a president who strongly favored one. And it turned out would make enacting health coverage reforms that included a mandate his top legislative goal. End of quote. Can you say bait and switch? And what about Senator Obama's lofty promise? I'm going to sit down with John McCain and we're going to work within campaign finance limitations. There's way too much money in politics, and we'll agree to only spend the amount of money that the public has allowed us for public financing, until he realized he could raise way more money if he didn't restrict himself.
Obama is the first candidate to forego public funds since new financing rules went into effect in the 1970s. Last year, Obama said he would accept public financing if his Republican opponent agreed to do the same. But as Obama broke multiple fundraising records during the primary season, he began to back away from that pledge.
Yeah, politicians have been known to change their mind from time to time. Now, number 5. Repeatedly blamed Obama to defend his administration. What? A political figure blaming his problems on his predecessor?
You know, when Khrushchev was forced out, he sat down, he wrote 2 letters and gave them to his successor. He said, when you get yourself into a situation you can't get out of, open the first letter and you'll be saved. And when you get yourself into another situation you can't get out of, open the second letter. Well, soon enough, this guy found himself in a tight place, so he opened the first letter, which said, blame everything on me. So he blamed the old man. It worked like a charm. He got himself into a second situation he couldn't get out of, and he opened the second letter. It said, sit down and write 2 letters.
But Obama would never do such a thing, would he? Here's just a few. Obama won't abandon blame Bush strategy. Obama blames Bush for his economy, takes credit for Trump's. Obama spent first term blaming Bush. Obama again blames Bush for bad job news. So can we please dispense with this Trump is blaming his problems on his predecessor nonsense?
That inspired me to get started on my own legacy, which will actually begin by building another edifice right next to the Bush Library. Can we show that, please?
Finally, we end with our friend at CNN, Chris Cuomo, who had a bit of a meltdown.
Call me Fredo. It's like I call you. You like that? You want that to be your nickname?
I didn't call you that.
You called me Fredo. You know my name's not Fredo.
I thought your name was.
You did not think my name was Fredo. Don't be a liar. You want to be a man, stand up like a man. My name is Chris Cuomo. I'm an anchor on CNN.
Oh, you're much.
Fredo is from The Godfather. He was that weak brother.
Isn't that your
and
brother?
And they use it as an Italian aspersion. Any of you Italian? Are you Italian?
I got a little.
It's an insult to your people. It's an insult to your people. It's like the N-word for us.
So Fredo is the equivalent of the N-word? Who knew? I'll tell you who knew. Daredevil Rex Kramer, danger seeker. Fredo!
Hey, what the fuck?
Don't try this at home. I'm Larry Elder, and this has been the Larry Elder Show for Epic Times. I'll see you next time. Who knew?